I have to discuss Preacher Volume 1. Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon's Preacher, the comic book series that is, and the graphic novel. I have part 1, as you can see right. Just seen the TV show, like half of the first season, and it was the most anticipated TV series for me, for AMC. At the AMC couldn't do really no wrong, but going into that first season, I really didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to get another Hellblazer, but that wasn't the case. However, I was able to get my hands on the comic book, and Preacher Season 2 is now, or it has been, I think it's starting, or it has started on AMC, but I wanted to take a look at the comic, and I took a look at least part 1 of the comic, and holy shit, guys, I'm a fan. The look, the feel, the gravity of the storyline in this comic is so good. I mean, I do have a couple things here and there that I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. 2 and 2 does not equal 10. But a lot of things that happen in this comic is so engaging, and the art of this comic, that's the kind of art I really like, where it's kind of Watchmen-esque, so to speak, but it's not. It's a little bit more updated than Watchmen, and I really like the crew in this comic. I mean, I've only made it to. Of course, I started. This is the beginning, and I've only made it to where we get to find out about Preacher, aka Jesse's backstory, and him and Tulip are caught in a situation, but. For so far, I'm just really loving the characters. I really love Jesse as the Preacher, especially knowing what his past was all about. And his past is so fucked up. It is so messed up for this guy. But not only that, you have Cassidy. Cassidy is one of the coolest characters in comic books I've seen, and I don't think the TV series did him justice. I think he comes off way more suave in the comics. And Jesse, the Preacher, has that coolness factor, but he's hiding something. That's the one thing. And then you have Tulip, who's also hiding something, but along the way, when we read this comic, we know exactly what she's in the business of doing. But the thing is about Tulip is, I think the TV series has Tulip more of a badass, while in the comic, so far what I have read, she's just not too much like that. She's just kind of there to be, of course, that's Jesse's ex-girlfriend, that's the love of his life, and I wish there was a little bit more to it, at least in part 1, but maybe she becomes a better character throughout the series of issues, but she just wasn't too much of an important character to me. I mean, she's important for Jesse, of course, but I felt like she should have been a lot better than what we got in at least part 1. Always wondered what's the deal with Arseface, the guy who shot himself in the face and survived it. And it was crazy, man, how his dad was the sheriff, and how, Jesse's powers, he has Genesis. He has this kind of hybrid of a demon and an angel who had sex and had a baby, and now it's like this is Jesse. He pretty much has the power of God. The crazy thing about this story, though, is that straight up God quits. Like, the angels kind of go up to Jesse like, listen, dude, we're not gonna bullshit you. God has quit on us. We have these angels taking over. We do all the hard work, but these angels are kind of foreseeing everything. But straight out, God has quit, and you have pretty much the power of God, and that is absolutely insane. So far, what I've seen is Jesse's able just to command. Like the commandments, he's able to command people to do what his bidding, so to speak. It's pretty much like the anime Code Geass, where Lelouch has this power on his eyes, and Jesse has these his eyes turn red when he's able to command somebody. It doesn't work on certain people, but let's say Arseface's dad. Arseface, his whole storyline, or his whole thing, I'm assuming, is that he wants revenge for his dad. All right, his dad is a sheriff. He sneaks in a cop car. The whole situation goes down with this gunman who's, I think, is like a zombie or a mummy type dude, and he it just dispels that situation. But Jesse tells the sheriff to go fuck himself, and the sheriff actually, as he commands it, the sheriff goes fucks himself, and he shoots himself, and he kills himself, and Arseface wants revenge on Jesse, the preacher. So that's Arseface. Like, in the comic, I feel like it's not as bad as like the TV show. The TV show makes it kind of very uncomfortable. But in the comic, he's looking for revenge. He's not too much in part 1. I'm assuming he's more involved later on. We kind of like see Jesse and the crew, like Cassidy and Tulip, just go to certain places, especially meeting Cassidy's friend, which was fucking crazy, right? And Cassidy is a vampire. That suave son of a bitch is a vampire. These three are the main kind of vocal points of the story. Which is crazy is I love how in the beginning we start off at a diner, then we like telling the events, and then then we get to the certain point where they're at right now. I really like that aspect to it, how it kind of jumps a little bit, and especially the flashbacks. I'm a little confused, but then when I keep reading, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I like that, so keep me on my toes. I really love how Cassidy and Jesse, the preacher's relationship is. Like, they automatically are kind of friends. They really have a trusting in one another. I really like that relationship, and I really like, even as much as I don't like Tulip as a character, she's not really deep. I really do like the relationship that she has with Jesse, and the back and forth and the witty banter. I think some of the dialogue is definitely comic book dialogue where you can't put on the big screen, but some of the lines in here is so good. Some of the lines, especially what comes out of Cassidy's mouth, is so good, and Jesse's mouth. I mean, there's some dialogue in here that's golden. I'm like, yep, that should be on a TV show. Yep, that should be on the TV show. Think the Preacher comic book is so good. I don't think the TV show has done it justice. At least what I saw in the first season, half of it. I just couldn't continue watching it. I gave it 5 episodes. I'm just like, I'm bored. This is like, I don't like this. And you know what's crazy is like that meteor and stuff, that shit doesn't happen in this comic. That shit doesn't happen in this very beginning. But what I really love about this comic book is just absolutely the art is very, very visually very nice. It's graphic when it needs to be graphic. It has graphics, a lot of graphic kind of things going on in there. I've seen much more graphic, honestly, but what I like about it is just the way it flows. It really makes, because I'm not a comic book reader, but there's certain graphic novels or certain comics that really engage me and really makes me feel like I'm not reading a comic. It's kind of like watching a show, and this is one of the comics. This comic has my attention. It has me wanting to read even more of the volumes. It's really, really rich in story, really good. Certain things where, okay, why is she back? She resurrected all of a sudden. I'm pretty sure they're going to tell you. Or why was there a gun in the glove department in a certain part? I want you guys to read this. This is such a good read. I mean, I am a Hellblazer fan, and this is not really Hellblazer, but it has its own thing going for it, and I really, really like it. And I really like how the characters, they're not all squeaky clean. They're kind of piece of shits, and Preacher is in that category, but you kind of get why they're like this, except Cassidy. Cassidy is a vampire, but you don't really, at least in part 1, you don't really know, whoa, how the hell, like, what's up with the vampire? Like, why is he a vampire? But, good stuff. Really loved it. Really recommend you guys check out Preacher. Some heartache moments, some brutal moments, some in-your-face moments, but visually it looks great. Story-wise, it's something unique, and character-wise, it's a blast of fun to see where these guys go. So, thank you guys for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate it. Like the video if you like it, and comment below. Love to hear your guys' thoughts. I'm Dan Manganiel's son. See you guys later. Bye, guys.